Stand with me at the western gate of Chang'an in 125 CE. The rising sun bathes the massive stone walls in golden light as the morning mist slowly dissipates. The air vibrates with the deep resonance of temple bells and the rhythmic jingling of camel harnesses. This is not just any city gate. This is the beginning of the Silk Road, humanity's first great superhighway of knowledge and culture. Watch closely as the morning's first caravan prepares for departure. Merchants check their precious cargo one final time. Those silk bales they're securing represent more than mere luxury goods. Each carefully wrapped bundle will help forge diplomatic alliances thousands of miles away in Rome. See how the traders meticulously pack delicate porcelain vessels in thick layers of rice straw. These aren't just trading goods. They're catalysts of innovation that will inspire Persian artisans to develop entirely new glazing techniques. Listen to the symphony of languages echoing across the plaza. Sogdian merchants haggle with Chinese traders. Persian diplomats exchange news with Kushan travelers. Each conversation carries seeds of cultural transformation. That Buddhist monk carefully wrapping manuscripts in oiled cloth? His text will transform philosophical thought across Asia. The Greek astronomical treatise being loaded into a waterproof case will revolutionize Chinese understanding of the heavens. Step with me into the bustling caravanserai just inside the city walls. The air here is thick with the aroma of simmering lamb and cumin, mingled with the sweet smoke of Indian incense. Notice the merchants gathered around low tables, sharing meals and stories. That Kushan trader sketching temple designs is unconsciously blending Greek columns with Buddhist imagery. This is how new artistic traditions are born, in these casual moments of cultural cross-pollination. Now travel with me along the route as our caravan makes its way westward. Feel the harsh sun of the Taklamakan Desert as we approach the oasis city of Dunhuang. The journey has been grueling, but the camels maintain their steady pace. See how the caravan masters navigate by ancient landmarks and stars, using techniques passed down through generations of traders. Enter the caves of Dunhuang, where local artists are already incorporating styles from passing traders into their sacred paintings. Watch as a Persian glassmaker demonstrates his revolutionary techniques to fascinated Chinese craftsmen. Nearby, a Chinese papermaker explains his new writing material to merchants headed west. This simple technology will reach Samarkand by 751 CE, Baghdad by 793 CE, and eventually transform European literary culture. Follow me to the markets of Kashgar, where traders from four directions meet. The air fills with the pungent scent of spices and the bleating of sheep. Here, Indian mathematics meets Chinese astronomy. Persian textile techniques blend with Central Asian designs. Every transaction plants seeds of innovation that will flower across continents. Move forward with me to Samarkand, jewel of Central Asia. Enter the workshops where craftsmen forge steel using techniques gathered from three continents. That distinctive wavy pattern in the metal represents more than decoration. It's the visible sign of technological fusion, combining Indian ironworking, Persian smelting, and Central Asian forging techniques. Now stand with me in the Great Bazaar of Baghdad. Merchants from as far as Korea exchange goods with traders from Venice and Ethiopia. Watch as they haggle not just over prices, but over ideas. That astronomical instrument changing hands combines Greek theory with Indian mathematics and Chinese craftsmanship. The medical text being carefully packed away blends Persian herbal knowledge with Indian surgical techniques. These routes did more than move merchandise. They created the first global network of human knowledge. Medical treatments discovered in India found their way to Egypt. Astronomical observations made in Baghdad influenced navigators in China. Agricultural techniques from Africa transformed farming in Asia. Each trader who dared to travel beyond known horizons, each sailor who trusted their life to the monsoon winds, helped create something greater than themselves. A connected world where ideas could travel as freely as goods. Picture yourself standing in the Grand Academy of Gunshaper in Persian Kazakhstan, 529 CE. The morning light streams through towering windows, illuminating hundreds of scholars at work in the columned hall. The scratching of reed pens on parchment fills the air as minds from three continents collaborate in this intellectual sanctuary. Watch as the renowned Byzantine physician Stephanos bends over Sanskrit medical texts. His weathered hands trace complex surgical diagrams while he consults with a young Indian doctor. They're creating something revolutionary, a medical compendium that combines Greek anatomical knowledge, Indian surgical techniques, and Persian herbal remedies. This fusion of medical traditions will save countless lives in the centuries to come. Move with me to the observatory where Greek astronomical instruments stand beside Indian celestial charts. Persian astronomers debate mathematical models in multiple languages, their animated gestures casting shadows on star maps spread across marble tables. See how they reconcile different astronomical traditions, creating new methods of calculating planetary movements that will influence science for a millennium. Enter the translation hall where teams of scholars work in focused silence. That elderly man surrounded by Greek texts? He's converting Plato's dialogues into Persian, while his colleague transforms Indian mathematical treatises into Arabic. Each carefully chosen word builds bridges between civilizations. These translations will preserve and transform human knowledge, creating the foundation for future scientific revolutions. Step into the library where scrolls from 3 continents fill cedar shelves. Breathe in the scent of leather bindings and preserved parchment. Watch as scholars compare different versions of ancient texts, debating fine points of translation. That heated discussion about Aristotelian logic and Indian numerical systems? It's planting the seeds of modern algebra. Follow me to the medical wing where students from across Asia learn surgical techniques. See how they combine Chinese acupuncture knowledge with Greek anatomical understanding. That surgeon demonstrating a new procedure? He's incorporating techniques from 3 different healing traditions, creating more effective treatments than any single culture could devise alone. Now enter the gardens where pharmacologists cultivate healing plants from distant lands. Chinese herbs grow beside Persian flowers and Indian spices. Watch as healers exchange knowledge about each plant's properties, creating new medicinal combinations. That simple exchange of herbal wisdom will save countless lives in the centuries to come. Move forward in time to 600 CE. Stand with me in the great debate hall where scholars from different traditions engage in philosophical discourse. Listen as Buddhist logic meets Greek rationalism, while Persian mysticism influences them both. See how these intellectual exchanges create new ways of understanding the world, laying groundwork for future philosophical developments. Enter the scribe's chamber where mathematical knowledge takes new forms. Watch as Indian numerals meet Greek geometric principles under Persian scholarly supervision. That seemingly simple act of combining numerical systems will revolutionize mathematics, creating tools that scientists still use today. Walk with me through the teaching spaces where students from distant lands study together. Notice how they share not just knowledge but ways of thinking. That young scholar combining Chinese cosmology with Greek physics? His synthesis will influence scientific thought for generations. These weren't just academic exercises. Each scholarly exchange, each translated text, each philosophical debate helped create something unprecedented, a truly international intellectual culture. Ideas that began in one tradition were transformed by contact with others, creating new insights that no single culture could have developed alone. The legacy of Gunshaper lives on in every modern university, every international scientific collaboration, every cross-cultural exchange of knowledge. It showed humanity that our greatest achievements come not from isolation, but from the free flow of ideas across cultural boundaries. Stand with me on the gently swaying deck of an Arab dhow as it approaches the bustling port of Guangzhou in 750 CE. The salty breeze carries hints of exotic spices from our cargo hold below, cardamom from Malabar, cinnamon from Ceylon, pepper from Sumatra. Watch as our captain consults his Kamal, a revolutionary navigation device that combines Indian mathematical principles with Persian astronomical knowledge. That simple wooden rectangle will transform ocean navigation for centuries to come. Feel the monsoon winds that have carried us thousands of miles across the Indian Ocean. These aren't just weather patterns, they're nature's own trade routes. Watch how the captain times our journey to these seasonal winds, using knowledge passed down through generations of sailors. This understanding of wind patterns has created the world's first predictable long-distance maritime trade network. Look toward the harbor where hundreds of vessels crowd the waters. Chinese junks with their distinctive sweeping sterns anchor alongside sleek Malay prows. Each ship design tells a story of maritime innovation. See those watertight compartments in the Chinese vessels? They're a revolutionary technology that will transform shipbuilding across the world. Notice the triangular Arab sails that make ocean crossing possible? They'll soon be adapted by sailors from Madagascar to Java. Listen to the babble of languages as ships' crews call to each other across the water. That pidgin tongue they're using blends Chinese, Arabic, and Malay into something entirely new. It's more than just trade language. It's the birth of maritime culture, allowing sailors from different lands to share vital information about weather patterns, dangerous reefs, and safe harbors. Step with me onto the crowded docks where porters unload precious cargo. Those large ceramic urns contain more than just trade goods. They're carrying technological secrets. Watch as Chinese porcelain masters examine Persian glazes, while Arab glass makers study Chinese ceramics. Each careful inspection sparks new innovations that will spread across continents. Enter the harbor master's office where maritime trade records are kept in multiple scripts. See how accounting systems from India merge with Chinese record-keeping methods, creating new ways of tracking international commerce. That merchant calculating profits using Indian numerals? He's demonstrating mathematical tools that will revolutionize global trade. Move with me through the foreign merchants' quarter where traders from distant lands have established permanent communities. Notice how their homes blend architectural styles from their homelands with local building techniques. That Arab merchant's house with its Chinese-style roof and Indian courtyard? It's a perfect example of how maritime trade creates new cultural forms. Watch as sailors exchange knowledge in dockside tea houses. That Chinese navigator sharing his charts with an Arab captain isn't just being friendly. He's participating in the creation of new maritime knowledge. Every shared secret about currents, coastal landmarks, and seasonal storms makes long-distance trade safer and more reliable. Step into the shipyards where vessels are being built and repaired. See how shipwrights combine techniques from different maritime traditions. That Chinese carpenter using Arab caulking methods? He's helping create stronger, more seaworthy vessels. The Malay craftsman adapting Persian rope-making techniques? His work will influence shipbuilding across Southeast Asia. Follow me to the spice warehouses where merchants from 3 continents haggle over precious cargo. The air is thick with the scent of cloves, nutmeg, and sandalwood. But more than spices are being exchanged here. Watch as traders share stories about distant lands, exchange medical knowledge, and spread religious ideas along with their merchandise. Enter the workshops where navigational instruments are being crafted. See how Arab astrolabe makers incorporate Chinese innovations while Indian cartographers adapt Persian mapping techniques. Each new instrument, each improved chart makes the seas a little less dangerous, the world a little more connected. These maritime networks did more than move goods. They created the world's first truly international culture. Every voyage carried not just cargo but ideas, technologies, and ways of life across vast distances. The legacy of these sea routes lives on in our modern global shipping networks, in the specialized languages of international trade, and in the multicultural port cities that still drive world commerce. Step with me into the bustling heart of Baghdad in 900 CE. Before us rises the magnificent House of Wisdom, its rounded dome gleaming in the morning sun. The air vibrates with intellectual energy as scholars from 3 continents gather in this unprecedented center of learning. This isn't just a library. It's humanity's first great international research institution. Enter the main hall where the morning light streams through intricate latticed windows. The air is thick with the smell of ink and parchment as hundreds of scholars work at their tasks. Listen to the constant murmur of multiple languages, Arabic, Persian, Sanskrit, Greek, as translators labor to preserve and transform human knowledge. Watch as teams of scribes carefully copy precious manuscripts. That elderly scholar examining a Greek astronomical text isn't just translating. He's adding commentary based on Persian observations and Indian calculations. Each manuscript becoming more than just a copy. It's an expansion and refinement of ancient knowledge. Move with me to the chemistry workshops where Al-Razi conducts his revolutionary experiments. See how he combines Chinese alchemical knowledge with Greek theoretical frameworks and Indian pharmaceutical traditions. That careful process of distillation he's performing will lay the groundwork for modern chemistry. The medical compounds he's creating will save lives for centuries to come. Enter the mathematics section where scholars debate new concepts. Watch as Al-Khwarizmi develops algebra by combining Indian numerical systems with Greek geometric principles. That seemingly simple equation he's writing on the slate will revolutionize mathematics forever. His work will influence scholars from Samarkand to Cordoba. Step into the astronomy wing where massive brass instruments gleam in the sunlight. See how astronomers combine observational techniques from different traditions. That complex astrolabe they're using blends Greek theory with Indian calculations and Persian craftsmanship. Their careful measurements will create the most accurate star charts the world has yet seen. Follow me to the medical libraries where physicians compare healing traditions from different cultures. Watch as they reconcile Greek humoral theory with Chinese pulse diagnosis and Indian Ayurvedic principles. That medical encyclopedia being compiled will influence healthcare for centuries, saving countless lives across multiple continents. Visit the engineering workshops where scholars study mechanics and hydraulics. See how they combine Roman architectural principles with Persian irrigation techniques and Chinese mechanical innovations. That water clock they're designing will be more accurate than anything previously created, while their civil engineering improvements will transform cities across Asia. Enter the cartography room where maps from different traditions cover the walls. Watch as geographers combine Greek mathematical principles with Arab astronomical observations and Chinese land surveys. Each new map brings the world into clearer focus, making trade and exploration safer and more reliable. Move to the philosophy section where scholars debate fundamental questions of existence. Listen as they reconcile Greek logic with Indian metaphysics and Persian mysticism. These intellectual exchanges will create new schools of thought that influence human understanding for generations. Step into the translation rooms where scholars work to preserve knowledge from aging scrolls. That team converting Sanskrit mathematical texts isn't just translating. They're saving crucial human knowledge that might otherwise be lost. Their work will help spark the European Renaissance centuries later. Watch as younger scholars learn from masters of different traditions. That student combining Chinese alchemy with Greek natural philosophy is creating something entirely new. The scribe adding Persian astronomical observations to Indian mathematical texts is helping create more accurate scientific models. These weren't just academic exercises. The House of Wisdom represented humanity's first systematic attempt to gather and synthesize all human knowledge. Every translation, every commentary, every scholarly debate helped create something unprecedented, a truly international intellectual culture that transcended political and religious boundaries. The legacy of Baghdad's House of Wisdom lives on in every modern research institution, every international scientific collaboration, every cross-cultural exchange of knowledge. It showed humanity that our greatest achievements come not from isolation, but from the free flow of ideas across cultural boundaries. Though the physical building may have fallen to Mongol invaders in 1258, the intellectual revolution it sparked continues to influence our world today. Stand with me in the painted caves of Dunhuang in 1000 CE, where the flickering light of oil lamps illuminates walls covered in stunning religious artwork. The air is heavy with the scent of incense and mineral pigments. This isn't just a Buddhist shrine. It's a testament to how spiritual ideas transform as they travel along trade routes. Watch as artists work on new murals, their brushstrokes blending techniques from multiple traditions. See how they incorporate Hellenistic shading methods learned from traveling merchants into traditional Buddhist imagery. That flowing robe on the bodhisattva figure shows clear Greek influence, while the vivid colors come from Persian painting techniques. Each brush stroke represents centuries of artistic exchange. Move with me to the monastery's translation hall, where monks labor over Sanskrit texts. Listen to their passionate debates about how to express Indian philosophical concepts using Chinese terms. Every carefully chosen word will shape how Buddhism evolves as it moves eastward. That senior monk consulting multiple dictionaries isn't just translating. He's building bridges between fundamentally different ways of thinking. Step into the monastery's library, where texts from every major civilization line the walls. See scrolls from India sitting beside Chinese manuscripts and Persian trading records. Watch as visiting merchants copy Buddhist sutras to carry westward. These very documents will influence Islamic Sufi mysticism and Christian monastic practices. Enter the meditation hall where pilgrims from different lands practice together. That Korean monk learning Indian breathing techniques from a Central Asian teacher represents how spiritual practices blend and evolve. The Chinese pilgrim adapting Indian mantras to his own language shows how sacred knowledge transforms as it travels. Follow me to the workshop where craftsmen create devotional objects. Watch as they combine Indian iconography with Chinese artistic techniques and Central Asian metalworking methods. That statue being carefully gilded represents more than just religious art. It's a physical manifestation of cultural fusion. Move with me to the monastery's guest quarters, where traders and pilgrims from distant lands rest and share stories. Listen as a Persian merchant describes Sufi practices to interested Buddhist monks, while a Chinese pilgrim explains Taoist concepts to Indian travelers. Each conversation plants seeds that will flower into new spiritual understandings. Step into the courtyard where traveling teachers demonstrate different meditation methods. See how techniques from various traditions are compared and combined. That group practicing Indian yoga poses while chanting Chinese texts is creating something entirely new, a fusion of spiritual practices that will influence generations. Watch as scribes record the teachings of visiting masters. Each manuscript preserves not just religious doctrine but practical wisdom about everything from medical treatments to astronomical observations. That medical text being copied combines Indian Ayurvedic knowledge with Chinese herbal medicine and Persian healing practices. Enter the debate hall where scholars from different traditions engage in philosophical discourse. Listen as they reconcile Buddhist logic with Taoist naturalism and Confucian ethics. These intellectual exchanges create new ways of understanding the universe and humanity's place within it. Follow me to the ritual spaces where ceremonies from different traditions are performed. Watch as Chinese temple practices blend with Indian tantric rituals and Central Asian shamanic traditions. Each ceremony represents centuries of spiritual exchange and adaptation. Move through the cave complex where different artistic styles show the evolution of religious expression. See how Indian Buddhist imagery transforms through Central Asian interpretations into distinctly Chinese forms. Each painting tells a story of how spiritual ideas adapt to new cultural contexts. These weren't just religious exchanges. They were transformations in how humans understand themselves and their place in the universe. Every traveler who carried sacred texts across borders, every artist who combined different traditions, every pilgrim who learned from foreign teachers helped create something greater than any single spiritual tradition could achieve alone. The legacy of these spiritual exchanges lives on in every modern religious tradition, in every interfaith dialogue, in every multicultural approach to spirituality. They showed humanity that sacred wisdom grows stronger, not weaker, when it crosses cultural boundaries and adapts to new understandings. Step with me into the imperial workshops of Kaifeng in 1100 CE. The air resonates with the rhythmic pounding of paper mills and the ring of hammers on steel. This isn't just a manufacturing center. It's where technologies from 3 continents merge to create innovations that will transform the world. Watch as the paper makers perfect their craft at the bamboo mills. That steady beating you hear is more than just industrial noise. It's the sound of a revolution in human communication being born. See how they combine Chinese fiber processing with Arab sizing techniques and Persian pulp preparation methods. Each sheet they create will help spread knowledge faster and more widely than ever before. Move with me to the steel forges where sparks fill the air and the heat presses against our faces. Here, smiths combine Arab steelmaking techniques with Chinese metalworking traditions. Watch as they fold and hammer the metal, creating blades of unprecedented strength and flexibility. That distinctive wavy pattern in the steel isn't just decoration. It's visible proof of metallurgical innovation. Enter the astronomical workshop where precision instruments are being crafted. Bronze astrolabes combine Greek mathematical principles with Indian astronomical knowledge and Chinese craftsmanship. See how artisans incorporate refinements from 3 different scientific traditions to create devices of unprecedented accuracy. That complex armillary sphere being calibrated will help create the most precise star charts of its age. Step into the ceramic kilns where the air shimmers with heat. Watch as potters combine Chinese porcelain techniques with Persian glazes and Central Asian decorative patterns. That distinctive blue and white vase emerging from the kiln represents more than just artistic beauty. It's a technological achievement that other cultures will spend centuries trying to replicate. Follow me to the mechanical workshop where water clocks and automatons are being constructed. See how engineers combine Greek hydraulic principles with Chinese gear mechanisms and Indian mathematical calculations. That complex water clock they're assembling will measure time more accurately than anything previously created. Move to the textile section where silk workers incorporate new weaving techniques from distant lands. Watch as they combine Chinese silk production methods with Persian pattern making and Indian dyeing techniques. Each new textile represents centuries of accumulated technological knowledge from multiple civilizations. Enter the chemical laboratories where new pigments and medicines are being developed. See alchemists combine materials from 3 continents in search of new compounds. That vivid blue pigment they're creating will transform artistic possibilities across Asia and eventually Europe. The medicines they're formulating blend healing traditions from multiple cultures. Step into the architectural planning rooms where engineers study building techniques from different traditions. Watch as they combine Chinese bracketing systems with Persian arch designs and Indian stone cutting methods. These architectural innovations will influence building practices from Japan to Java. Visit the military technology workshops where engineers develop new defensive and siege weapons. See how they adapt Persian artillery designs using Chinese metallurgy and Indian ballistic calculations. Each new innovation represents a fusion of multiple military engineering traditions. Move through the glassmaking workshops where artisans experiment with new techniques. Watch as they combine Middle Eastern glassblowing methods with Chinese furnace designs and Indian chemical knowledge. That delicate vessel cooling slowly in the annealing oven represents technological knowledge from 3 continents. These weren't just technical improvements, they were transformations in human capability. Every craftsman who adapted foreign techniques, every engineer who combined different traditions, every artisan who experimented with new methods helped create something greater than any single culture could achieve alone. The legacy of these technological exchanges lives on in every modern factory, every research laboratory, every engineering workshop. They showed humanity that innovation flourishes best when knowledge flows freely across cultural boundaries, when different technical traditions meet and merge. Join me in the spice markets of Malacca in 1300 CE, where the morning air is thick with the aroma of 1,000 exotic ingredients. Breathe in the sharp scent of cloves from the Moluccas, the sweet fragrance of cinnamon from Ceylon, the pungent bite of pepper from Malabar. This isn't just a marketplace. It's where the world's cuisines begin their transformation. Watch as Arab merchants carefully examine each spice, their experienced hands testing quality and freshness. They know these precious commodities will transform cuisines from Venice to Canton. See how they package different spice combinations for specific markets. This bundle for Persian kitchens, that one for Egyptian cooks, another for Chinese temples. Step with me into the busy port kitchens where cooks from 3 continents work side by side. Listen to the sizzle of woks and the bubble of cauldrons as they create new fusion dishes. Watch that Chinese chef demonstrate his noodle-pulling technique to an interested Arab cook, while a Gujarati spice master shares his secret blends with local Malay cooks. Move through the herb gardens where medicinal and culinary plants from distant lands flourish in the tropical heat. See Chinese ginger growing beside Indian turmeric and Persian mint. That herbalist carefully tending new seedlings isn't just growing plants. She's preserving and spreading botanical knowledge that will influence both medicine and cuisine. Enter the preservation workshops where different culinary traditions meet. Watch as Chinese salting techniques combine with Arab pickling methods and Indian spice preservation. Each new preservation technique means food can travel farther, last longer, and reach new markets. Follow me to the agricultural fields outside the city where farmers experiment with new crops. See how Chinese rice cultivation techniques transform local farming practices. Watch as Indian cotton growing methods adapt to new soils. That farmer grafting fruit trees is combining techniques from 3 different agricultural traditions. Step into the fermentation houses where the air is rich with the scent of aging sauces and wines. See how Chinese soy fermentation methods influence local fish sauce production. Watch as Persian winemaking techniques adapt to tropical fruits. Each ceramic vessel contains centuries of accumulated knowledge about food transformation. Visit the royal kitchens where court chefs create elaborate fusion cuisines. Watch as they combine Chinese cooking techniques with Indian spices and Persian presentation styles. Every dish they create represents a unique blend of culinary traditions that will influence royal courts across Asia. Move through the street food stalls where humble cooks create their own innovations. See how they adapt foreign recipes to local tastes and ingredients. That vendor combining Chinese noodles with Indian curries is creating something entirely new, dishes that will become local traditions in their own right. Enter the merchant ships where cooks learn to preserve food for long voyages. Watch as they combine preservation techniques from different cultures. Their experiments with salting, drying, and spicing will influence naval cuisine for centuries. Follow me to the cooking schools where culinary knowledge is formally shared. See young cooks learning techniques from multiple traditions. That apprentice practicing Chinese knife skills while learning Indian spice combinations represents the future of fusion cuisine. These weren't just culinary exchanges, they were transformations in how humans nourish themselves and understand food. Every cook who adapted foreign recipes, every farmer who planted new crops, every merchant who introduced new ingredients helped create something greater than any single culinary tradition could achieve alone. The legacy of these food exchanges lives on in every modern kitchen, every fusion restaurant, every international market. They showed humanity that culinary traditions grow richer, not poorer, when they absorb influences from other cultures. Stand with me one final time in the port of Alexandria in 1400 CE, where ships from 3 continents crowd the ancient harbor. The morning sun glints off waves where Greek triremes once sailed and Phoenician traders plied their routes. This isn't just a trading hub. It's where we can see the culmination of thousands of years of human exchange. Watch the daily rhythm of the port as ships unload their precious cargoes. That Chinese junk bringing silk and porcelain will return home with Mediterranean coral and Egyptian glass. The Indian vessel carrying spices and textiles will take back Arab metalwork and African ivory. Each exchange represents links in a chain connecting humanity across vast distances. Step into the great library's successor, where scholars still gather to share knowledge. See how they combine astronomical observations from 3 continents to create new understanding of the heavens. Watch as mathematicians use Indian numerals to solve Greek geometric problems while referencing Persian algebraic texts. Enter the bustling markets where languages mix and merge in the air. Listen as merchants switch effortlessly between Arabic, Greek, Persian, and dozens of other tongues. That pidgin trade language they're using contains words from 20 different cultures. It's a living dictionary of human connection. Move through the craftsman's quarter where workshops buzz with activity. Watch as glassmakers combine Syrian techniques with Egyptian materials and Persian designs. See metalworkers forge steel using Indian methods while decorating it with Chinese motifs. Each craftsman inherits techniques refined by generations of cultural exchange. Visit the spice merchants' warehouses where the air is heavy with exotic aromas. Every cinnamon stick from Ceylon, every peppercorn from Malabar, every clove from the Moluccas tells a story of daring voyages and complex trade networks. The spice traders' records show a web of connection spanning 3 continents. Step into the shipbuilders' yards where maritime technologies from different traditions merge. See how they combine Arab navigational instruments with Chinese compass techniques and Indian ocean-going hull designs. Each new ship launches with centuries of accumulated maritime knowledge built into its bones. Enter the scribes' quarters where books are copied and translated. Watch as they preserve Greek philosophy, Indian mathematics, Persian astronomy, and Chinese technology. Every manuscript they create helps spread knowledge across cultural boundaries. Move through the medical quarter where healers combine traditions from different lands. See how they reconcile Greek anatomical knowledge with Chinese pulse diagnosis and Indian herbal medicine. Each successful treatment represents the fusion of multiple healing traditions. Visit the religious buildings where different faiths stand side by side. Christian churches rise near Muslim mosques, while Jewish synagogues share walls with pagan temples. Each sacred space tells a story of how spiritual ideas travel and adapt to new lands. Watch as artists work in their studios, blending techniques from multiple traditions. See how they combine Persian miniature painting methods with Greek perspective and Egyptian color palettes. Each artwork represents centuries of artistic exchange. These weren't just cultural exchanges. They were the building blocks of our modern global civilization. Every merchant who ventured beyond known horizons, every scholar who preserved foreign knowledge, every craftsman who adapted distant techniques helped create something greater than any single culture could achieve alone. The legacy of these ancient trade routes lives on in every international flight, every cross-cultural collaboration, every technological innovation that draws on multiple traditions. They showed humanity that we achieve our greatest heights not in isolation, but through connection and exchange. As we stand here in Alexandria's harbor, watching ships from distant lands arrive and depart, we're witnessing more than just commerce. We're seeing the continuing story of human civilization, a story written not by single cultures acting alone, but by the constant flow of ideas, innovations, and inspirations across all boundaries.